sitting on Zoom too, if you can. Check that out. We all on Zoom right now. I shout out to Miss Kovar. Miss Kovar was my high school French teacher, and I remember when I first took French, she didn't even speak English to us in the course. From day one, she spoke to us in French. And so if you didn't pick up on your game, if you didn't study your lessons, you definitely felt like a foreigner in America. So shout out to Miss Kovar. Merci beaucoup, Mademoiselle Kovar. Come
Wow.
on, man. Y'all need to stop playing with me. Shout out to Just Dizzle. Just Dizzle out of Paris, France. I met him by the way of DJ Fab, who syndicated the world famous Wake Up Show back in the day in Paris, France. That was one of our countries that we lived in, spreading this good culture that we know of as, let's just call it culture. I won't even say hip hop, HB. I'm having a issue with that terminology, being that terminology, as I've been doing the research, wasn't really created by us necessarily. So I'm doing the examination right now on the terminology hip hop. So to the culture. There go Tracy G. I see you, Tracy G. So listen, speaking of the culture, my good friend who I finally met, you guys heard me bring him up before. It's a company, an animation media anime slash media company called Urbanime that I became a board member of some time ago. I don't even know how long ago it's been now, and we've been doing a lot of great activities with Urbanime and just bringing awareness to our stories through using animation and having folks really into characters and having representation in the kind of characters that we bring out to the world. And I met my good friend Chris Walker for the first time in person just 2 days ago. We were at a WeWork facility in Harlem, New York on 126th Street. And I said, Chris, we've been talking for a year. I got to see your face, brother. I got to give you a hug. And little did I know that I was going to get a lesson. I felt like I went back to school with Chris. He started giving me a lot of information. And one of the things we always talked about through Urbanime is making sure that we give back to the community and tell stories that are very seldom heard, read, or told. And Chris approached me about, let's continue to do things on people in tech, black people in tech. And we were talking about black women in tech. And we had a guest on our show recently that talked about her nuanced experiences and journeys working in the tech industry and what's that like. Walking into these, I grew up near Silicon Valley. So when you walk into these VC offices or you go into these startup companies, you don't see no one that looks like us. And you definitely rarely see black women in that environment. So, Chris, welcome to the show. This is Chris from Urbanime. Chris, what up, baby? What up,
Hey,
Chris?
Chris.
Hey, what's up? Let me know if I'm too echoey. I am in a WeWork, so.
Yeah, you are,
But
but
yeah,
we're gonna have to. Yeah, what are you gonna do if you are?
well, I'm gonna keep my time short, so the Black Women Talk Tech team can do all the talking and share what they're up to. So, just quick about Urbanime. Like Sway said, we're using comic books and comic media to tell the stories of Black and Brown folks. I think comics is a really exciting format. I worked at Marvel and DC for years. Really, had a chance to explore my favorite characters and work on them. And the thing that I really got was, that sense of fandom and community. And I'm excited to take the same things that I learned going to conventions, being a fan, and making culture the hero and telling stories about the culture and the people in the culture and using that same comic book storytelling to excite us about, what everybody on the call knows, which is we do great stuff. We make great things. Our culture is amazing. And I think as part of our mission to advance the culture and empower our people, applying that same lens that you would do to, Spider-Man when it drops. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. So this summer when it dropped, I was like, oh man, I can't. I'm reading all the Easter eggs and all the stuff, but imagine that applied to our culture. So imagine that applied to Black women in tech, learning about Black women in tech and people who have, paved the way, or Black venture capitalists and seeing how they think about investment, Black women who are sitting at those seats, understanding the entrepreneurship that's in the culture, or the entrepreneurship, right? Like maybe you're not an entrepreneurship, but you go to Google and you do amazing things at Google with the resources. So that's what we're doing right now. It's part of our Open Spaces initiative that's promoting Black and Brown in tech and that diversity. And so we're focused this month on Black women in tech in particular. and our new mixtape, which is a culture zine that mixes comic book art, storytelling, journalism. You know, we've got a preview on the site a little bit later today. You can go there now and subscribe. We'll have it up, and then we have what we call the listening party, which is taking all those amazing stories from the mixtape. Everybody's like, it's a mixtape, but there's no music. I'm like, I know, but let us put 4 or 5 more out, and then you'll be like, I can't wait for the next mixtape. But all that said, you know, I want to invite some amazing people here, Black Women Talk Tech founders, to talk about what they're up to and their mission. So that's enough of me.
Okay. And then listen, Urbanime.com, right? That's where you can find out more information.
Urbanime.com, that's correct.
Urbanime.com. Listen, first up, man, she started her career in the product development executive training program at Federated Department Stores, now Macy's Inc., successfully launched 3 executive brands during her tenure. She's a graduate of Kellogg School of Management with her MBA. Listen, if I list all her accolades, we'll be here all day. Please welcome the one and only Regina Gwynn is here. Regina Gwynn.
Goodness. What up,
Thank
Gina?
you so much. Thank you. So excited to be here.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you, and that's the name my mother gave my big sister, so, you know, we got a connection as it is. And then next we have a woman who has more than 15 years of entrepreneurial experience, including founding 2 influencer marketing businesses. She has more than 12 years of marketing operation experience as a serial entrepreneur and as a former bank executive at Citigroup, where she developed high-performing growth strategies and oversaw implementation for key lines of business. Please welcome Esosa Ighodaro Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Red Lip Bandit. Let's go.
The Red Lip. So let's get into it. I'm gonna open up the phone lines, especially for Black women who work in tech, because we want to hear about your experience, your nuanced journey, even being in those circles. I can only imagine what it's like. I know growing up outside of Silicon Valley, when I would go into the tech circles, there were a lot of cultural differences, even in the language, the humor, the way people interacted with each other, the conversation. I just kind of felt like an imposter almost, and that I would have to assimilate to a certain way of communication that just wasn't natural to me. So Regina Gwynn, let's start with you. Black Women Talk Tech. How did this all begin and why?
Absolutely. So Black Women Talk Tech is a collective of Black women tech entrepreneurs. So we focus on building billion-dollar businesses. We want to own the next Google. We want to own the next Facebook and the next Intel. And so Esosa and I are both tech founders. We both launched tech startups back in 2013, 2014. And it was exactly how you mentioned it, right? Like, you walk into these rooms, not only are you the only woman, you're the only woman of color in these VC conversations and going into these VC funds. And so being a non-technical founder, right? I didn't know how to code. I had no idea all the different coding languages, what a technical stack was. It was beyond crazy. And you would think, oh, I've got my MBA. I've got networks. Yeah, no. No, that wasn't enough, right? You know, you had to have that social capital. It's the social networks. It's the people that open the doors for you and talk about you when you're not in the room. It's about, quote unquote, having a seat at the table. And so we decided to create our own table. And that was the impetus behind creating Black Women Talk Tech, to provide more access and more resources to other entrepreneurs that were building billion-dollar businesses. I had a great idea, great market opportunity, but success is when preparation meets opportunity. So being prepared is not enough. It's about getting those opportunities and getting people in the right rooms with the right people.
I love that. I want to talk, and congratulations, too, for what you've been able to accomplish. 888-742-3345. Esosa, can you speak directly to your own personal nuanced journey of an example of walking into an environment, in the tech environment, and just feeling like an outsider? Has that ever happened to you?
Every day. Unfortunately, that still happens, especially being on the East Coast. Like, we're like the first of our kind on the East Coast. Like, no one really was looking to gather around technology and business in a new way. I mean, our main mission is to help Black women build the next billion-dollar startup, right? Scalable startup, really building wealth through entrepreneurship. And that sort of thing wasn't really talked about you didn't really understand the circles to even get access to on the East Coast, at least in Silicon Valley, you can kind of even understand the lingo or be around it. It wasn't even around. You had big banks on this side. You know, fintech is our thing on the East Coast, especially in New York, such a central hub for that. But they ain't giving you no money, especially at that level of risk. But with this level of risk for this type of businesses, it's the highest level of reward you can see out there when it comes to entrepreneurship and the fastest way to get to wealth. And so we thought that was very important for our communities because we're a big component of, if you invest in a Black woman, you're investing in that community. You are really invested in every single man, woman, and child in that community because we make sure everyone's taken care of. We take it as our civil duty for ourselves. But for me, building a technology company in the East Coast was very difficult. I think, I can speak for myself and Regina. We were one of the lucky ones to be able to even find access to some of these VC companies. I luckily was able to raise $1.4 million from our startup. And that is very rare for, a person that looks like me, especially when I get into the rooms and I'm like, hey, I'm creating this image recognition company to help you shop better online. And they're like, who is? Who's the person creating it? I just said me, right? And just to getting them over the hump that someone that looks like me can build and satisfy problems that exist in the world is even a barrier. So I found that, building this community and space of Black Women Talk Tech, of all the different investors who are interested in investing in people who look like me, all the people who are looking to work for people who look like me, as well as, just even simple things like getting your questions answered from legals, people who understand what the tech space is like when you're talking about funding rounds and raising capital. Like all of this was like mumbo jumbo to my ears, and I was in banking, and I was like, wait, y'all got a whole different banking language. Like it was just like, who is this? What is this? And so I learned a great deal from these conferences that we put together called Roadmap to Billions. I mean, intended just as it says. So we got all the information. Sorry?
Roadmap to Billions.
Mm-hmm. Who ain't signing up for that?
Okay. Yes.
I'm on
it is about billions. It's not about millions. We're talking billions. Why? Because, if you think about the top 4 trillion dollar businesses are Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Tesla, right? All technology companies. So we have to think about the industries that we're going to pursue entrepreneurship through, right? You can pursue entrepreneurship with real estate. You can pursue entrepreneurship with a dry cleaners, a dog walking service. All these businesses are important. However, technology industry businesses allow you to have outsized returns, right? So we're talking about being behind 400 and something years. So how are we choosing a business that allow us to leapfrog to get us to the starting point? Because we're not even at the starting point. So we have to look at businesses that will allow us billion-dollar returns.
Mm-hmm.
We're speaking with Black Women Tech Talk, Regina Gwynn and Esosa Ighodaro Johnson. Tracy G, you want to jump in there?
Oh my gosh, I got a lot of questions. The first one, because you both mentioned how language is a barrier, could you both, Esosa and Regina, maybe give like one word that made your brain just go, what? And then define it for our audience so we can start getting used to that type of jargon. What was the most complicated term that you had to learn? And what's the definition of it?
So
let's start.
Should I start? Or should I?
Yeah, go for it, Gina.
Oh, okay. So one thing, it's not necessarily complicated, but it's very hard, which is something called achieving product market fit. So do you actually have a product that people want to buy? And how are you creating what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product, in order to test whether or not that product is something that a person wants to buy? This idea of saying, okay, my idea is great, and you just believe in it, and it's revolutionary, and it's going to just change lives. If you actually haven't tested it in the market and understood that it's a problem that people actually want to pay to solve, then you don't have a business. And so I think that's the thing that has been so interesting to me when you see tons of startups. Black Women Talk Tech, we've got thousands of entrepreneurs in our community, and we have a pitch competition where we get to see tons of startups pitch their business, and a lot of them are not going to make it. And that's indicative of just in general, entrepreneurship in general is hard, let alone, being a woman and being a woman of color. So it's not a matter of saying, every single idea is worth investing in. And let's make sure that we are supporting the businesses that are worth investment, and make sure they have an MVP that can grow and scale.
Thank you for that. What about you, Esosa?
So I'm gonna still cap table investing schedules.
Yes.
What is it?
Cap table.
So
capitalization. Cap stands for capitalization.
Table, and then vesting schedule. So these are terms that happen when you're trying to raise money for your capital for your startup. And when I tell you, like, you can get beat over the head so easily by two people in the startup space. One is technical talent. If you're non-technical, it's very easy to get beat over the head with a person who's technical, because they're going to tell you, oh, it's going to take 4 weeks. It could take them 3 hours. And you paid for 4 weeks though, because you're paying them hourly, right? So like, that's a whole piece there. But then
is that called tech con? That's like a tech con.
Right.
Yes.
Pretty much. You get got. It's called getting got.
Getting that. Oh man, that's amazing. Amazing. And then it's the investors in the community. You want to trust people who are going to give you the money, but then, I think, not to quote 50, but to quote 50. He says 50. This thing where like you're in conversations with business people, and they're right here stealing in your face, because they're creating term sheets and terms of the deal that are literally stealing from you and your future generations, and you don't know it because you're not familiar with the terms. And then they take monster amounts of return from you and parts of your business that are shown on the capitalization table that is presented nicely in these terms of agreement and in your company. So a cap table essentially is, what is your ownership of a company? So the amount of shares and equity you own within a company is listed in the cap table. And so if myself and Regina, we own Black Women Talk Tech, on our cap table, we'll just have us two, because we're the only two owners, and we would have it both say 50% ownership. And so that's the cap table. But on the other side, where it says vesting schedule, if, let's say, in the beginning, when we created this company, we wanted to essentially make sure that we're here for the long run, right? So what we say is like, we're not going to let your capital or your equity vest over 4 years. We're going to let it vest over 4 years to make sure that you're here for the long run, and then you can own the entire portion of your equity or shares at the company. So a lot of people use vesting schedules for a lot of new employees, or people who they want to take stake in the company. So it's very common, especially if you're working at like the Googles and the Facebooks and all these other technology companies, you get shares of the company the longer you stay, right? And so it's usually over 4 years, and they have something called a 1-year cliff. A 1-year cliff means after the first year of you staying, you might get a quarter of the entire pot, and then it might vest quarterly. So every quarter you start getting a certain amount more of equity into your dream bucket so that you can cash out ladies, in the public market.
I love it.
Come on.
Black Women Talk Tech, they educating us
they
too.
Talking the tech.
Hey man, if you in the tech industry, call up 888-742-3345. Chris, we got to talk about our cap table with Urbanime, okay, when we get off this line. All right. Okay, Heather B, you
Thank
want to
you,
jump
ladies.
in?
Thank you for that one.
Shout out to Chris, Regina, and Esosa. Thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. We appreciate this conversation. I want to thank the ladies because I would say growing up, there was always like this association with like, oh, she's the fly chick, she's the dope chick, she's this, she's that. There was so many things associated with how you dressed, how you looked, how you performed in school, what clubs you belonged to, what squad you was with. And every time I think for me, seeing the word tech, it automatically thought nerdy, too smart, I don't want to be bothered. A wall went up, just being honest with you ladies. And I thank women, you guys in particular, but just women in general who have decided to get in this space and speak the language that I can relate to. That doesn't make it nerdy. This is actually fly and dope to me now. I would say in the past 10 years, this is my comfort space. This is what I want to know about. This is what I'm drawn to because y'all look like me, y'all sound like me, and I appreciate it. So I just wanted to say thank you because you guys broke down that wall that I think maybe was put up on purpose to scare us, to keep us away from this industry, so to make us not want to know, not to put us on that road to the billions. So thank y'all. I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate it. Thank you so much. I mean, we really understand that there's power here. It is a radical act to convene Black women talking about generational wealth for communities.
Yes.
You know, the first conference that we had, and we looked out in the audience, and it was nothing but Black women. And all we were doing is talking about building scalable businesses and billion-dollar markets. We were like, what?
What?
We were like, what are we doing right now? But the response has been overwhelming. Women came from Pittsburgh, Florida, Texas, California, Senegal, London, Ottawa. Like it was undeniable. And that was what prompted us to keep going. We were working on our startups. We were like, we thought we were going to do one event and say, okay, hope this was helpful. And they were like, no, next year you're going to do this. And the year after that, you're going to do this. And 5 years later, here we are. Black women are the arbiters of culture. We influence culture, we drive culture. And now we need to monetize the opportunities and the expertise and the value that we bring to the table.
I love this. Regina and Esosa from Black Women Talk Tech. We got Corey Hardrick. He's going to be jumping on in a minute to talk about his new series, and Corey's one of us. I'm sure he's getting a lot of game right now as he tunes into it. Sharon's on the line. Sharon just hung up. Melissa's on the line from New Jersey. Rise and shine, Melissa. What's up? What's up?
Hey, Mel.
Good morning. Good morning. You guys talked to my daughter Miley the other day.
That's
Miley,
right.
yes. Miley, the amazing Miley.
She did the
what did she do? The gymnastic trick, right?
Yes. She did her round off the beam.
That's right.
Miley.
And stuck it.
Yes, she
And stuck it. And she had class last night and climbed the rope. So, she's doing the big things. But so now I'm calling because both of my kids are very talented with coding. And my son has been taking like private coding lessons, but I feel like he's stalled out. What do you recommend for both of them? Like she's been in coding club in school and she's ahead of everybody else in the club. So the teacher works with her separately from everybody else. And they both just love it, but I don't know which way to go with them.
Okay. Regina, you want to take that?
What grade are they in? Are they in high school?
5th and 2nd.
Oh, young, super young. Oh, I love it.
Young.
Love it.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I definitely would recommend just continuing to encourage them to take as many coding classes as possible. Definitely put them on the path towards either, computer engineering, electronic engineering, in terms of a college degree. And then, more importantly, continue to feed that. There's tons of games, there's programs outside of school that allow children to be able to continue to get their feet wet. If they are advanced, hell, throw them into a Python class, a Ruby on Rails class, and see whether or not that could be of interest. It will be hard, I could imagine, for a fifth grader. But the earlier they're exposed to different coding languages and understanding which languages are the most flexible and the newest languages possible, I think that's always, the exposure is number one. That's definitely the key, and they're getting that exposure now, which is great.
Okay, thanks for
That
your
was
call.
also
I'm gonna
gonna
take
say-
one more. We got Megan on the line from San Fran. What up, Megan?
What up, Megan?
Hello, good morning.
Hey, Meg.
Good morning.
Megan, you work in
Hi,
tech?
Sure do, tech recruiting.
Okay,
Very
that's
cool.
great. So,
Yeah,
what are your
and-
thoughts on the conversation?
Well, unfortunately, I tuned in just to the very end running the physical therapy right now, but the way your guest, and I'm so sorry I don't have the name, explained equity, stocks, how VC, works with startups especially. There are more and more VCs that are focused on women of color in particular, people of color, black founders in particular. There are so many groups out there that are really trying to change this narrative of what is quote unquote normal in tech, and it's really exciting to witness. Hearing that call of the mom with the kids coding right now, like our youth need to get excited about this and understand that they can create something out of nothing with zeros and ones. And while that sounds totally foreign and coding is a different language, think about it like learning Spanish or learning a language to travel the world. These languages help fuel our world. Without coding, we wouldn't be talking right now. I wouldn't be on my iPhone. So I love encouraging kids, especially and parents, to get their kids involved. There are robotics. That mother that just called in, I would encourage those kids to look at robotic programming languages. Maybe they could make their own little robot toy and really see that code come to life. But there's just so much out there. It's really overwhelming and like a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Let me ask you this, Megan. This is Regina Gwynn and Esosa Ighodaro Johnson from Black Women Talk Tech, and they do these conferences and they bring some of the most brilliant minds together. You're a recruiter. I see some synergy between Black Women Talk Tech and what you do, where they could provide you with personnel for your recruiting process. How does that happen?
Yes, would love to. I mean, we can connect on LinkedIn. I am actually in the middle of a job search, kind of part of that whole great resignation realignment. And so a thing that I love to do as a recruiter, and if anyone works with recruiters, you hopefully have them in your back pocket, but it's really about helping make connections and bridging those gaps. And I call myself a dot connector. So if there's any way that I can help connect dots, that's just my intrinsic motivation as a human on this planet, to help people find work that they're motivated to do and they love to do, because we got to work to put food on the table, but we better enjoy those 40 plus hours a week.
Absolutely. Megan, I took your number down. I'm going to pass it to Regina and Esosa, okay? You all right with that?
Absolutely. Yes, please do. Yes. I'm late for physical therapy. This is totally worth it.
Go work it out, girl. You're a citizen.
Thank
You're a citizen. All right.
In the morning.
Listen, this could be the first of many conversations. I'm
Yes.
totally inspired and motivated by what you guys are doing with Black Women Talk Tech. If people want to learn more about it, they want to go on the platform, find out what's next, where do they go?
Go to blackwomentalktech.com or Black Women Talk Tech on any of our social media. We're there having the conversations every day. Literally, we also have coming up on the 24th, Face of the Founder, our summit for fundraising and finance. So if you're looking to make money for your startup in terms of getting actual checks in your hand, that's a conference for you.
It's free. It is free.
Is it virtual too, or is it will it be streaming?
It's virtual.
Both? Okay.
It's virtual, so come around.
Okay. Black Women Talk Tech, Regina Esosa, thank you for joining us today. This was amazing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. We're going to do some more, though. This is just a prelude to more to come, all right? And then Chris from Urbanime, my partner, once again, you want to tell them about the mixtape?
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to urbanime.com, there's a preview up. The full mixtape will come out Sunday, and we're also having the listening party. So from 7 to 8:30, if you go to twitch.com/urbanime, URBANIME, Twitch. And so all the conversations that we're having in the mixtape will bring to life in the listening party. And with the mixtape, we're featuring over 30 Black women in tech, 30 stories, everyone from Google startup for accelerators to CEOs to venture capitalists. We've got people from Headspace talking about mental health and technology. So it's going to be a great issue, and we're very excited to share it with everyone. So again, that's Sunday, the 20th, 7 to 8:30 on Twitch.
And then Regina said they have a HBCU student who interned at Apple who created an app that'll be perfect for us. Okay, so follow up on that, Chris, all right? All right, Regina Esosa, thank you. Black Women Talk Tech, this is brilliant. I can't wait to see what's in the future. And we'll have you back on the show, okay?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, ladies. Y'all killing it.
Yes, indeed. Chris, I'll talk to you later. Hey, man, I mentioned our good friend Corey Hardrick that's coming up next, man. You want to talk with Corey?